Live and direct from the new planet Earth, where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss, and you ain't gotta give a about no code.
Tell me who unleashed our animal instinct. Why the op standing there tickle pink? Have a drink, no more liquor. Got a poison. One thicker, one gangster, one hole in the desert for the snitch. What happened to the cold? What's this?
Welcome into the Franchise Podcast. We got a big time show in store for y'all today. I'm your host, Nyshawn Zaragoza, joined by Joe Arrigo and TQ. Gentlemen, how y'all doing today?
Glad to see y'all made it through the eclipse.
He
Everybody got
just
their
had to bring
sight
that
all
up.
right. Everybody can see. Glad you made it through my pre-birthday party last week. Squeeze.
Oh, man. Like, you try to get me all drunk. I had a big weekend. I had to go take care of some things. Try to get me wasted. It's always the second shot. You go to a Joe function, get the first shot to be jovial and
Joe,
cordial.
how was your function? Okay, those of you
Come
that
on,
don't know, Joe's birthday is this upcoming Thursday.
Today the show airs. Yep. 18.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So how was your
was-
fiesta?
You know what? It was cool. I was wasted with my brother and with good friends. Shout out to DJ Super James, Brian Solomon from Channel 3.
G-Minor.
G-Minor.
in the building.
I think G-Minor's the one that did it. Like G-Minor, because G-Minor loves to see someone get lit. Kalani Brackenridge, my brother. Alfred Pierre, my Polo brother. Sean. I got a bunch of people that I just pulled up. So it was a good time to hang out with some people. Shane Mosley was there.
Nice.
So seen
Nice.
Sugar Man. Not Sugar Man. Sugar. Caught him ahead of time. So, but you know who wasn't there, Squeeze?
What's that?
Nyshawn.
I was working, guys. A woman gotta pay. A woman gotta pay her bills.
You wasn't at the party, huh?
Nah, and she got off work at like 11.
Wow, you're
when we
now
were just
realizing
getting
that I
started.
wasn't there.
I was
I'm
twisted.
clearly not that special to
I
you.
was twisted.
Trish is lucky if Trish was in Houston working. Other than that, like, you got no excuse.
Your birthday is coming Thursday anyway.
I'm out of town, but I got the post-birthday bash the following week.
Set it up.
Let's
We're
do it.
turning up for Joe's birthday the entire month of April.
Damn
but
right.
in the meantime, gentlemen, it's this time of the year, guys. Things are getting heated all across the spectrum. The Las Vegas Golden Knights make their run into the playoffs. The Lakers make their push into the play-in. And then lastly, it's the countdown into the NFL draft. It's 8 more days. The big question is, what are the Raiders going to do in this year's draft? The Raiders offseason program has officially kicked off. It is a voluntary 2-week phase 1 period that will consist of meetings, strength and conditioning, and physical rehabilitation. Now, obviously, the focus is on the draft. That's where AP and Tom Telesco is really putting their coins right now. So, Joe, I want to start with you. The draft is in officially 8 days. There are 13 prospects attending this draft. Last year, it was 17 that was in Kansas City. So this is going to be a little bit more of an intimate draft. Joe, will the Raiders' first round pick be in attendance at the draft?
If it's 1 of 3 people, I believe he will be. If it's not 1 of 3 people, I don't think he will. If it's Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, or one of the linemen, other than that, I don't think he will be. And I believe, and I'm a firm believer going into the draft, which is, a week away now. I'm a firm believer the Raiders are in a position to trade back. I think it's unless one of their 3 guys is there, one of the top linemen or one of those corners, they need to trade back. And my reason is real simple. I can count off the top of my head 7 needs. They have 8 picks. Out of those 7 needs, you can prioritize them in whatever order you want. But when you look at quarterback, I believe 5 quarterbacks go in the first 10 picks, 6 in the first round. When you look at cornerback, okay, there's 2 elite cornerbacks. And then there's a drop-off, but there's some really good cornerbacks the rest of round 1, round 2, and round 3. Offensive line. There's 1 of 3 offensive line. There's really 3 offensive linemen to me that are elite. You got some really good ones that can come in and play. But I really believe that Tom Telesco is looking at this like, I'm not trading up for Jaden Daniels. Washington is not going to give up anything when it comes to that. They're not going to give up that number 2 pick. You're not going to draft Penix right there. And I think a sleeper team for Penix is going to be Seattle. His OC at Washington is now the Seahawks OC. I think that they have Geno Smith as their quarterback and a backup who we can't even name. Last but not least, the Raiders need to do something on the offensive line but they can get a guy later in the first, and then Jordan Travis in the second round. If they trade back, they could probably pick up another second rounder, which would help them in that regard. So I think when it comes to the 13 guys that are there, unless it's Terrion Arnold or Quinyon Mitchell, who I think are two guys that the Raiders have a hard look at, and maybe Fuaga, I don't think he's going to be in the draft room or at draft day.
Question before we head to TQ. Tom Telesco doesn't have a history of trading back. So why do you think it would happen this year?
Because I believe everything's a process. And the one thing in the draft that you can control is the process. And the Raiders' process is, Mark Davis said, you can trade up for a quarterback. Everybody got excited, but they didn't want to pay attention to the last few words, which was if it makes sense. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense if it's not Jaden Downs or Caleb Williams. Does it make sense to do that for Michael Penix? Doesn't make sense for them to do that. Unless if it's Joe Alt, there's your tackle and you have bookend tackles. Doesn't make sense for anybody else in that first round for them to move up. Standing there, you have too many needs with only 8 picks. So that's why I think adding more picks so you have more bullets and more ammunition to move up or down or to select makes the most sense.
I agree to a certain extent, but not really. The Raiders' first pick, wherever it is, needs to be a starter. Needs to be a player that starts on day one of the new season next year. And I believe that player will be there at 13, whatever it is. I think you can get a guy there on the offensive line or in the cornerback position. And if you can't, you add to the defense. This team is defense-minded. It's a defensive coach. The best unit on the squad is the defensive unit. You just swung for the fences with, to me, the best offseason move in the NFL, picking up Christian Wilkins. So, yeah, the Raiders have some holes, but the biggest hole is a starter. You need a starter to bolster what you have going already on the field day one. If it's not a guy that fills one of those needs there, you don't trade back. You pick the best defensive player available because you can always add more of them. I say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. You're in a division with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. That is 4 of your games. You have to get to the quarterback. You cannot allow them to be comfortable. And if it's not the quarterback, if it's not the offensive lineman that starts first day, you get the best player available on the defensive side of the ball at 13.
To your point, that's why a quarterback makes no sense to trade up at all because he's not going to start. If they were to trade up and let's say trade up to number 7, hypothetically, for Drake May or for Michael Penix, he's not going to start. You don't do that. That makes 0 sense for a team.
I mean, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I get where you're coming from. I do get where you're coming from. But I'm also starting to feel like Penix's arm, man.
Oh, he's got elite arm talent.
And not just arm talent, but his accuracy. I just worry about all the injuries. But I don't want to be kicking ourselves because some damn Seattle or some stupid team like that gets this guy and he becomes their quarterback for the next 10, 12 years. I've looked at more of his games since the last time we talked about this. I'm listening to him in his interviews.
Love him.
Man.
It's easy to fall in love with him.
If he could just stay healthy, but the injuries worry me. And I just feel like I know that the Raiders are not going to pick him at 13. He's probably going to be gone at 13 anyway.
I agree.
But
wait, you both think Michael Penix is going to be gone at 13?
I think 4 of the first 5 picks will be quarterbacks.
Okay.
I think you're going to go it's in order. Caleb, Jaden, Drake May, Marvin Harrison, and then at that 5 spot, I can see Seattle moving around and taking Michael Penix.
I mean, that's a little high to me just because of the medical.
Yeah.
But I still believe that he'll be gone before the Raiders pick. And
or
then
excuse me, J.J. McCarthy, and
right.
then Penix a little bit later. Yeah.
Okay.
My bad.
I still believe he'll be gone before the Raiders pick. And if he's not, I don't think they pick him with 13.
Well, the interesting thing about the draft is it's always an unexpectancy that happens every single year. So what if the draft just takes an extremely sharp turn and who you think is going to be picked in the earlier rounds ends up falling back? Joe, what would you do? Who do you want to see the Raiders come out of the draft with? We know the positions that need improvement, but what do you believe they should do?
If they had the opportunity to get Fuaga at 13 and then turn around or even if they trade back and get the tackle from Georgia, the right tackle from Georgia, who is, I think you put on, I believe, the Oklahoma tape, and his potential is through the roof.
And did you just say put on the Oklahoma tape?
He played against Oklahoma. No, you say that. No, I'm just saying. He dominated. My point being,
You would dominate that defense.
man, yeah, no lie. But the Georgia right tackle,
I would like to see that.
off the top of my head, hit him, and then in the second round, if they move back and they take Jordan Travis and Max Melton, the cornerback from Rutgers. Max Melton, to me, the only reason why he's not a first round corner and he might slide in is because the other guys played at a bigger school. I know, other than Mitchell, who tested through the roof. Yeah. Max Milton is a different cornerback from mentality, the way he plays, size, speed, bloodlines, pedigree. Those are things that I look for in a player. He checks all the boxes. He is one of me. I would say he's my second favorite corner in this entire draft. If he was here in wearing the silver and black in Las Vegas, Raider Nation would love it because he's a dog.
I mean, when it comes down to that position, I'm always looking at who are you playing against, because you playing in the Rudy Poo Conference, like you can claw down anybody.
He's in the Big Ten.
I mean, but what did you do in the Big Ten?
He locked down. Well, he had a hell of a game against Harrison.
I mean, okay, all right.
Michigan receivers.
I mean,
the national champions.
All right, you got that. But I do say this: there's Arnold, and then there's everybody else.
Facts.
So I say that for the reason of, if Arnold is there at 13, you take him. Mm-hmm. If he's gone and it's these other cornerbacks, no, you get a better player.
Let's bring it back. So if Michael Penix were to fall back at 13,
I would have a headache. If I'm in that room,
what are you doing?
And
we want to hear it.
falls back at 13 and Arnold is there, I don't know what to do. I literally don't. I think that I would have nightmares if I passed Michael Penix and he ends up being the Michael Penix from Washington.
Yeah.
As opposed to the guy that's always hurt. I would have nightmares. But at the same time, look what I have on defense.
Crazy.
Look what I just did on defense. If I'm able to sew up that other side with a real deal outside corner, not some little slot guy that moves around, but a guy that can go and get your one or two receiver and play either side, I got
what's the okay?
goodness.
So I want to know your guys' opinion about this because he's got probably the best name in the draft, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now he played opposite of Arnold. My only knock on him is he's not overly physical in the running game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest knock.
But for me, his technique, the way he plays, he's never out of phase. His hips are loose. IQ, he's right there with them. Is it just because he's not as physical and at the tackle
Isaiah
and the
Pacheco, Jim Harbaugh. Those are the reasons. And Sean Payton does not have a quarterback. You got to be able to come in the box and stop the run.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
What would you do, Nye?
I think it's really all about perception too, because Kool-Aid McKinstry has his I would say the things that he is really good at. People are always going to pick apart these athletes no matter what. Just like they say Terrion Arnold is super small. Like, come on now. But he still has great production. So for me, if I'm the Raiders, if Michael Penix isn't there, because I think that Raider Nation wants to see the Raiders take care of the quarterback room.
Position, right.
That really should be the number one priority. I really do love Terrion Arnold, but how often do we not necessarily ignore the offensive line, but we don't really pay attention to it as much as the defense? I know defense wins games. I know TQ is on the side of really building up the defense, but I'm on the side of really building up the offense as well. And obviously, you guys, the Raiders need help with the right-hand side. So I do like your pick of Talisa Fuaga from Oregon because he has amazing size and strength. He's able to overpower defenders. And not only that, he's able to control the line of scrimmage in the run game, which is going to be really important for the Raiders because if the Raiders, that's something I'm working on. I believe that Raider Nation desires for the Raiders to take care of the quarterback position. if the Raiders do not come out of this draft with a quarterback, it's going to be a problem in Raider Nation. Let's just be real, because that's something that everybody has been anticipating. Everybody has been looking, forward to. Obviously, this is a really good draft class with cornerbacks, with offensive tackles, and then obviously quarterbacks, which is everything that we need. So this works this draft is really working in our favor. So in reality, Raider Nation and myself and you guys are expecting AP and Tom Telesco to truly do something in this draft. Obviously, I mentioned Talisa Fuaga out of Oregon. Such a strong offensive tackle.
Was he strong?
Okay, he is. He also has a Samoan background, so not only that, I really believe that he brings that protection, right? He brings that protection to the line. He's going to know how to control the line of scrimmage in the run game, which I believe that the Raiders are going to be utilizing a lot if they do not pick up a quarterback in this first round, right? Troy Fautanu from Washington as well. These are at least like the top three, right? And Joe Alt, who will be taken pretty early in the draft.
Guaranteed.
He'll be in LA with the
Guaranteed
Chargers.
for sure.
Yeah.
I believe really maybe that should be the Raiders focused, but I do really love Terrion Arnold.
Everybody has a player that they like. Everybody has a player that they feel is best for their team, that they want to go to their team. I mean, it's whatever.
I want him. If we can't get a quarterback.
If you can't get Caleb,
if I can't get Caleb, can't get Jay, give me Arnold. Because I just feel like that shores, once again,
I know.
Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes.
I know we've been on this topic for a little too long, and we do have to move along, but I want to get your opinion because you've been focusing so much on shoring up the defensive side, which is obviously so important, especially from the past years. We needed to do that.
Yeah.
But are we going to do nothing in the first round or maybe even the second round to focus on the offensive side, whether that be quarterback or whether that be the line?
I mean, I just feel, once again, your first round pick, if you can't get the guy you really want, right, the guy you really need, then you need to get the best available player on your best side of the ball. And the bottom line is, the Raiders' best side of the ball, I believe the Raiders' philosophy going forward, the best players on the Raiders team are defensive players. It just is what it is. Yeah, Devontae's the man. He doesn't have anybody throw him the ball. That's the bottom. People say what they want to say about Derek Carr. The day Derek Carr walked out of the room, Devontae Adams no longer had anybody throw him the ball. He still don't have nobody to throw him the ball. So what do we have to do? What is priority number one for Raider Nation? What did the coach say? Put Patrick Mahomes on his ass. And then I'm going to add another one to it.
Let's
Put
go.
Justin Herbert on his ass.
Let's go.
Whoever Sean and Donkeys come up with, put him on his ass, intercept, pick six.
but here's the
That's
thing.
what this is all about.
You done went from Terrion Arnold to talking about, but they need Devontae needs someone to throw him the ball.
No, I did not say that.
He did not say.
Rewind the tape.
Yes, rewind
I
it,
said
please.
he has nobody to throw him the ball. You can't hear. You have issues.
You said you did I not just say Devontae has no one to throw him the ball?
Tape. It just is what it is. Yeah, Devontae's the man. He doesn't have anybody throw him the ball. That's the bottom. People say what they want to say about Derek Carr. The day Derek Carr walked out of the room, Devontae Adams no longer had anybody throw him the ball. He still don't have nobody to throw him the ball.
We said the same
did
thing.
not say anything about needing anything. I said he has nobody to throw him the ball. He hasn't had anybody to. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Rewind
You
that
were
tape
saying
too.
that they need a quarterback. They need Devontae needs someone to throw him the ball.
No, I did not say that.
Please.
I don't need you to talk for me. I know how to talk for myself.
All right, gentlemen, we gotta close out this seg. So I want you to finish your closing thoughts.
But I keep getting interrupted.
Blah, blah, blah.
By
Cállate,
Mr. Chia Pet over here.
Joe.
It keeps bothering me.
Whatever,
Can I
milk dud
finish my
head.
point? Thank you. Jeez. Here's the point that I'm trying to make, ladies and gentlemen. The Raiders are going to be a really good defensive team this year, and they need to add to it. The heart and soul of the team is on the defensive side of the ball. If at 13, the best player on the board is a defensive player, you need to pick him up because I believe that guy is going to be better than whatever quarterback that's left there, whatever offensive lineman that's left there, and whatever cornerback, if it's not Terrion Arnold, that's left in that position.
Guys, the suspense is going to continue to build. I think next week we should do a little bit of a larger segment breaking down the draft, because that Thursday when the podcast is dropped is going to be the draft day. So finally, the moment that everybody's been waiting for. Guys, stay tuned. Coming up, NHL is getting intense. They're closing out the regular season this upcoming Thursday, the day that the podcast drops. And then after that's the playoffs. The Golden Knights over in Las Vegas are making a major comeback. So stay tuned. Welcome back into the Franchise Podcast, live at the Foundation Room. The defending champs, Las Vegas Golden Knights, made some noise this past weekend, overcoming a 3-0 deficit to beat the Colorado Avalanche in an overtime 4-3 win. Joe, head coach Bruce Cassidy said that they're trying to fine-tune their game. What do you make of this statement, and what do you make of the Golden Knights season thus far?
Well, let's start with the former. Coach Cassidy is talking about the injuries and guys getting healthy and getting everybody in the right position. Look, when they've had as many injuries as they've had since the middle of the season, and especially late as well with the lacerated spleen of Mark Stone, I mean, that's your captain.
Yeah.
And
Heart and soul.
You know, and they battled through it, and they've made it. They clinched the playoff spot. They're fighting for third place. It's between them and the Kings. You know, they have a legit shot to be third in the Pacific Division, but I think at this point, it's just getting everybody comfortable with each other on the different lines. I like the line change that they made in that Colorado game. They switched some things up, and it's good to see the additions that they had at the trade deadline make impacts. I mean, not only did they trade for him, they're signed to deals. They re-signed Hurdle to a new deal, an 8-year deal. They make a deal. I mean, they make the deal at the deadline for him, surprising a lot of people. I actually think that leads to the end of Jonathan Marchessault's time here in Vegas. You know, I mean, hey, he's leading the team with over 40 goals scored.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the first Golden Knights, original Golden Knight, part of the Misfit line. You know, they just feel at this time it's time to, you know, go all in, no pun intended, and shout out to the Aces, you know, because literally this team is all about Stanley Cups, and credit Bill Foley for that. He said 6 years into it, we're going to win a Stanley Cup within the first 6 years. They did. He's putting his money where his mouth is. It's all about winning for him. And he's putting the pressure on all the other teams in the city because their goal every year is to win a Stanley Cup. And I can never be mad at a team that, you know, throws their junk on the table and says, we're going for it. And that's what they've been doing since day one. So credit the Golden Knights for that.
Feels weird to say that about a team that's so young.
Yeah.
As far as their history goes. But it's the absolute truth. We only got one championship out here, but we only got 6 years in existence, and it's championship or bust already.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a sentence, right? But if you look at it, every year, man, they make that midseason move or they make that trade deadline move, and it comes to fruition, and it was always the right move. And then the point that a lot of times when that happens in the other sports, you don't get to lock those guys up. You don't lock them up so fast. Whereas the Knights, I mean, this squad that we see going into the playoffs this year that's literally coming off of, you know, some hellacious injuries all the way through the season, you have to deal with these dudes. You have to deal with them for a long time coming. And they're not going to get hurt every year, not everybody. So, you know, kudos to the coaching staff and kudos to the team for just staying afloat through all of those injuries. It's crazy how, for me, they parallel the Lakers.
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about them later, but it's kind of like trying to stay afloat throughout all of the injuries really takes it takes a good coaching mind. So kudos to Cassidy, kudos to what he's been able to do. And now you got all of these guys coming back who really need to get some good time on the ice together. So it's happening at the right time. I if I see them in the Western Conference Final or Stanley Cup again, I won't be surprised. They got the pedigree, and they got the experience of having spent so much time in the playoffs. So.
I mean, look, they lost Stone, Eichel, Hill, Thompson. I think Pietrangelo missed some time. Yeah. Alec Martinez. Yeah. I mean, these are core members of your team that you lost in particular with Stone and even Eichel for an extended period of time. I mean, Aiden Hill hasn't been playing great, right? You know, and Logan Thompson hasn't been playing great,
right?
You know, and that's an All-Star last year and the Stanley Cup MVP last year. So I think at this point, like, you know, you have to be happy. William Karlsson's been playing solid all year. Credit him, you know. But you're right. They parallel the Lakers, and you know, Butch Cassidy does a hell of a job.
Does.
You know, like I credit Boston for firing him, and then McCrimmon and McVie and Foley's having enough testicular fortitude to say this is our guy, and we're gonna roll with him. And 6 playoffs appearances in 7 years, 2 Stanley Cup appearances, 1 Stanley Cup championship. That's a foundation for winning. That becomes a cultural thing.
Exactly.
And you lock these dudes up long term, it's a cultural thing for the Golden Knights. And if you're a VGK fan, man, look, T-Mobile's gonna be turned up playoff time.
Yeah.
The Fortress is something different. If you haven't been, I've been to multiple playoff games there. That joint is the funnest one of
place
anything.
Is no joke. Been to 4 games before in my life. Haven't been to any playoff games yet.
It's different.
But like just the atmosphere in that place, man. It's just, you know, all of our teams have a certain atmosphere. Mm-hmm. They absolutely do. Like a Raider game is a good time, regardless of what people say about, you know. Yeah, most. Let's say all of our professional teams have an atmosphere. Aces WNBA
Was that some
game.
shade?
No, it ain't shade.
Nah, I mean it's just the truth, you know. But you know, it's definitely an outing. And I think that they fuel the team, man. We have a hell of a home ice advantage. Out here in Las Vegas. That'll play well for us.
It's fun going to the games. I've been to a few of them because it's not thick when you go into there. You know, like when you go to some games, it feels so thick. Like going to the Raiders games, at a point in time, it felt so thick. Like it felt. You would go into the game excited, and then you would leave the game so frustrated and so unhappy. And that starts with the Golden Knights organization, their ownership, their GM, all the way down to the coaches and to the players. TQ, how has that changed? Like we've seen the Golden Knights, I mean, we're obviously live in Vegas, build their stadium here, and then now make it to so many playoffs, and Stanley Cup is in the picture multiple times. What does that say about their organization and as far as their growth?
I think the one thing that they were missing, more so than anything, which was fixed last year, I always say they reminded me of those previous runs in the playoffs. They reminded me of the Detroit Pistons team that beat the Lakers that so bad in the finals that time. It was just they have been a great team, right? No individual person was necessarily great at anything, but they were great at playing together. I think when you sign Jack Eichel, you got a bona fide superstar. And that's what took them over the hump last year. They didn't have a superstar. And it's not often that teams win without a superstar. And he is that. He does things on the ice that, you know, it's only a couple of other guys in the sport of hockey can do it. And that takes them over the top. And you can see, you know, he got hurt again this year. You can see the difference when he's not in the lineup and when he is. That's a bona fide superstar. That's your guy that you can hang your hat on. I always say this about being a Kobe fan. I'm sure the Bulls fans of Jordan and the Kansas City fans now, the Patriot fans, when you got that guy, at the end of the game, you could be losing. You always have some hope that he's going to do something to win the game for you. Mm-hmm. And for the Knights, that's Jack Eichel all day. I think that he's been the difference between the time prior to getting him last year and this year. So again, that's why I say if they're back in the final again, I wouldn't be surprised.
Jack Eichel is one of the 4 best hockey players in the NHL. You got McDavid, you got McKinnon, and I think Eichel's right, number 3, when he's healthy. And credit Kelly McCrimmon for pulling the trigger on that. He caught a lot of slack. Look, Jack Eichel in Buffalo was a beast.
Yeah.
Number 2 pick overall behind McDavid, right? And he had a neck injury.
Yeah, bad one.
They didn't know if he was going to play.
Right.
And the Golden Knights rolled the dice, let him get the surgery. He didn't get the surgery until after he got here.
Right.
Got it done out here. And we talked to Russ Brandon. We aired the Russ Brandon episode last week. Russ talked about Jack.
Yeah, he did.
You know, he was the president of the Sabres when they drafted him.
Right.
And what does that say? I mean, this is a guy he is a transcendent talent. If he were to win, the Golden Knights were to win a second Stanley Cup this year, and he was the hoist of trophies in the MVP of the trophy of the game, I should say. Honestly, you got to put him in. Like,
that's rare air.
that is. You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And you got to look at him a little bit differently. I went a couple years ago. I went to a game. I want to say it was his first year here. Tony Cordasco and I went to a game. It's on a random Thursday night game in October. I want to say it was October. And you could see the difference between him and everybody else. He skated faster, and it was with more ease. His passes were at spots where if you were a Golden Knight, all you had to do was really just coming, just fire off. But they didn't know how to deal with them yet. They had to learn how to play with him because his skill set is so advanced.
Yeah.
And I think what you see McCrimmon do is bring guys around Jack that fit it. I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of years, I know Stoney's the captain, if you see Jack wear that C, because he is the best player on that team. Yeah. And I don't think it's close. Jack Eichel, and he's by far one of the most fun to watch, and he's gonna mix it up with you.
Yeah,
Jack
sure.
don't take no mess.
For sure.
I love it. I love everything about it. I love his game, but Kelly McCrimmon deserves credit because we clown him with about his eyebrows and looking like Jack Nicholson as the Joker and Batman, all that. We had a meeting. You weren't at the meeting, but we had a meeting last year, if you remember. We were at Grimaldi's in Tivoli. He came and sat right there. We took pictures of him, and he was cool. He knew who we were. He gave us a head nod, and it was a cool moment. But Kelly McCrimmon deserves some credit. He catches a lot of heat. The Golden Knight front office and ownership catches heat because they always think they're the smartest people in the room. I love it. I love it. The Golden Knights, man. Look, I'm excited about this playoff run. I want to see them make another run. It's a little more work, but it's well worth it. Especially that party they had. Man, I didn't. I was at Beer House with some people from the Black Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. The NHL's regular season is coming to an end this upcoming week. The Stanley Cup playoffs begin April 20th. It's about to be exciting.
Oh yeah. The best playoffs in sports.
Yeah.
Well,
no doubt.
Facts. I agree. The NHL isn't the only league capturing a lot of attention right now. All of the action is in the NBA. As you guys know, it's the play-in right now. The Lakers have been battling a lot of adversity, but the real question is, can they make a real run?
This section was brought to you by Coldwell Banker Premier Realty. Coldwell Banker is a service-driven, highly productive team of professional sales and support people who are dedicated to consistently providing superior real estate brokerage and related services, setting the industry standard of value and excellence.
Welcome back to the Franchise Podcast, live at the Foundation Room. All right, guys, it's officially time. Playoffs are coming. They're coming. The play-in. It's happening. The Lakers defeat the Pelicans 110-106. They now play the Nuggets this upcoming Friday. I'm gonna start with you, TQ, because he be going off about these. He be on edge about these games. TQ, can the Lakers make a real run?
Yes, I think they can. I think that. Well, let me say this. It's gonna be tough to beat Denver. I believe that is the one team that they're not engineered to beat in a 7-game series yet. I've been calling for it all week, man. Look, sit LeBron them down. You don't have to win. You're into the play-in already. You don't know what's gonna happen at the top. Middle of the week last week, it was jambalaya at the top, right? And it just so happened that at the last minute, OKC, a team that the Lakers match up perfectly against, edges out the Nuggets, who they don't match up with at all, for the first seed. The Lakers go on this run to win all of these games and puts them in this position to be, headed in to play the 2 seed, which is Denver, who we all thought was going to be the 1 seed. So, I just felt like they was chasing something that wasn't necessary to chase. Look, we just talked about it with the Golden Knights. It's championship or bust. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. You got LeBron. He's 73 years old. Like, it's not about regular season. It's not about play-ins. It's not about all that. It's about another ring, period, point blank. They just made it a little bit harder to get. That being said, I just spoke about this when we was talking about Jack Eichel, man. That's the space that LeBron James fills for me with the Lakers. I felt like this before. I felt like this with Magic Johnson. Felt like this with Kobe Bryant. I'm not comparing LeBron's Lakerhood to those two, but I am saying that if you have the king, you got a fighting chance, to win a series. That being said, it's gonna be hard to beat the Joker. I still feel the best squad in the NBA, and I think they got their sights set on a championship. And if the Lakers pull this off, they should expect to be facing the Boston Celtics for a championship themselves.
Before you go, Joe, I want to ask you a question. Because you say that the Lakers have the king so that they can make this happen. But the king can't make things happen on his own.
Right.
What else needs to be done?
I think that throughout the season, again, just like the Knights, the Lakers have dealt with a ton of injuries. Last year during the offseason, we was all pumped up about all of these moves with all of these guys. We thought that Rob Pelinka had done a hell of a job in the offseason, changing what this team was from last year to what it is now. I think that throughout the season, everybody's been down on Darvin Ham. I never was, because I felt like all of the switching up and all of the changing and figuring out and seeing if this works, seeing if that works, those are the things that you're supposed to do when you're going into a West-heavy postseason with a bunch of teams that do a lot of different things. You're going to see in the Western Conference, you're going to have to make adjustments series to series, but you're going to have to make adjustments night to night.
Yeah.
So those bench players that we went out and got, they need to be able to do multiple things. I think towards the end of the season, when the Lakers started winning, when guys started coming back, you were able to see guys in 2 or 3 different roles that could do 2 or 3 different things. I don't necessarily know if it was enough time to build a cohesion that could get them, over the hump of a Denver Nuggets team over 7 games. But I will say they shouldn't come into this playoff, to this postseason, feeling like they're seeing something that they haven't seen already.
Yeah.
So, definitely the bench players have to do their thing. The Lakers got to shoot well. They have a tendency sometimes to lag on defense. I think that comes from LeBron getting tired, as he should, at 73 years old, and AD just going into these lulls sometime where he just is not aggressive. I don't know if that's rest or if that's just his personality, but even if you're not aggressive physically, they have so much cachet. It's guys on the Lakers team that had LeBron on their wall when they was in high school. So be that leader vocally. Don't go into the passive aggressive. Don't go into all these things that people don't like about LeBron. Be the leader on the court, because he still is that. I understand that AD is the best player on the team. The team is AD's team. But the bottom line is the cachet that the king has with everybody in the NBA. Be boisterous on the court. When you can't do it yourself, you still got to make sure your guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Health is the only thing that concerns me about them. Honestly, it's health. Understand that I was very high and very happy, and still in with Darvin Ham as a hire and as a head coach. I like him. Always liked him. I thought he's a defensive-minded coach. Guys tend to buy in. He doesn't let the small stuff sweat. He doesn't sweat the small stuff. Like, I love what he said in his opening press conference where he got shot in the head. He survived. Well, this is basketball. Yeah. You know, it's this big picture mentality. Yeah. What I don't like is all the lineup switching with the rash of injuries that they've had. Some of it's out of necessity, but when you got your top 6 or 7 guys, run them. Let your horses get out there and run a little bit. And some of the things he does, like as far as substitutions, the patterns are just off. Now, I get guys being hurt. LeBron being in a situation where, you know, he's the one that brought load management to the table, to the NBA. Okay. What? No, he did. He did. Before LeBron, there was no load management. Who was load managing?
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi was always hurt.
Hey, whatever, man.
He's still hurt.
Go.
He's still
starting to hate on the king a little bit.
No, I'm not.
I don't understand what it is. Okay, I feel like you're sipping Kool-Aid from the rest of the world.
No. I'm going to tell you what it is. We've talked about it many times on this show. We've talked about it hanging out with people. We've talked about it before we started the show. For us, it's a standard to be a Laker. There's a certain standard that you have when you're a Los Angeles Laker.
Facts.
We've seen 11 titles in our 46, almost 47 years.
Facts.
No, not too many people can say that. No
Facts.
Clipper fan can say that. No Warrior fan can say that. No King fan can say that.
No, nobody, unless you're a Yankee from like...
Or a Celtic fan. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's it.
You're dead if you're a Celtic fan.
Exactly, and who cares? You're from Boston.
The thing with you, Joe, is that I really realize that each podcast rehearsal that we have, you're really truly trying to look at the outer picture of the Lakers. And even though you're a Laker fan, you're not being biased, which I do appreciate.
I'm not.
Because this guy is always on the Lakers side, which we respect. We get that, but you look at the bigger picture. So I want you to kind of discuss pretty much what TQ did. Like, what are your biggest concerns besides injury? Who needs to step up?
Okay, so it goes to this. And we talked about it pre-show. I pulled the curtain back. LeBron makes every basketball play, and it's the right play basketball-wise. Go back to the
do you want him to do something different than that?
Yes, I'm going to tell you. Go back to 2020 in the bubble. The game they should have closed out against Miami, he kicked the ball out to Danny Green. The right basketball play, because you get doubled, you kick it out. That's not the winning basketball play always. Kobe and Jordan had winning basketball plays. Get on my back. I'm the best player. I'm the GOAT. You're getting on my back. I'm leading us to a title. By hook or by crook. Mm-hmm. I want to see more of that with LeBron. Now, he does flash it at times because he, very next, years ago, 10 years ago, had the chase down block against Steph. He kicked it to Kyrie, hit the big shot. The game-winning game, great basketball plays, won games. But to me, I want to see more of that dog from him. AD, you got to get him early to keep him interested. When you brought up why there's some lulls with him, it's because they don't give him the ball early enough to get interested. Run the pick and roll with him and D'Angelo. That gets them both going. D'Lo gets going, and he did it on Tuesday night in the first quarter. LeBron kicked it out to him. He stepped into his shot in rhythm. He can't just get it and then just shoot. He's got to shoot it in rhythm. I want to see more of that. And then I want to see the defense pick up. And for me, defense is all want. You got to want to play defense. You got to want to stop somebody. You got to take me versus Squeeze personal. Every time you cross half court, I'm in your kitchen. I'm going to be in your ass, no Diddy. And I'm going to be making sure that you're not going to get off on me, no Diddy.
Look, man, that all sounds good. That all sounds fine and dandy. You got one of your star players is 73. You got the other one that's a walking injury.
Whose fault is that?
All right. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. That's the situation that you're in. You got to coach for the situation that you're in. We just talked about Bruce Cassidy. Mm-hmm. Who cares that all of them dudes were sitting on the bench? You had to stay ready for the playoffs. You had to stay afloat. It's the same thing with the Lakers. You want them to throw the ball to AD, so that he's gassed in the fourth quarter
No.
when you're up against the Joker and you need his defense.
That's not what I'm saying.
He is the defensive anchor of the team.
Right.
You don't need to run him to death. You got other guys that you've brought in. You need to preserve him so that he can play defense.
But you understand, for AD, if he's not getting his touches, he's like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do whatever.
No, I
He's
totally
done
disagree.
that.
He's done that in years past.
He did it last year.
He did it in years past.
He becomes disinterested and he becomes like, okay, I'm not a focal point. I want to see. You don't have to feed the ball to him every time down.
Well, what are you talking about then?
Okay.
How is he having the season that he's having if he doesn't get the ball?
I'm gonna tell you. I mean, I'll equate it to this.
Oh, somebody else is shooting for him and he's giving him points?
Listen. They get him going early, the same way they did with Shaq. First couple possessions, get it down to him, get him in rhythm on offense. That keeps him interested on defense. The same premise with AD.
No,
you don't
it's
have
not.
you don't have to every time go down. You don't always have to run pick and pop with him. You got to get Reeves going. Look at
That's not
Hoochie
the
Mora.
premise. That's not the premise. You're just so wrong. It's just ridiculous.
No, take your.
You're comparing him to Shaq.
No,
It's
I'm not.
2020. You just
I'm
did.
comparing how you run the offense. You asked how to
Did
keep him interested.
Shaq need to run out and follow people like Joker to the three-point line? No, never. He didn't. You gotta preserve the man's energy. This is a totally different
That's why
NBA
there's
than it's
Rui,
ever
and that's
been.
why there's Rui and LeBron. But then you say LeBron don't want to play defense. LeBron can match up on Joker and cause all problems.
Energy.
So I mean,
What
is
is his
You want them to
age?
play defense or no?
No, the
because they're
point
not going to
is
outscore him.
Preservation. That's why you're not a coach. And Darvingham is. He understands how to preserve the players that he has.
Except
He's in
against
his
Denver where they get
second
their
year
ass
when-
whooped.
It's not about that. It's about Denver is a better team.
Are they really?
They are a absolute better team than every other team in the league. That's why they're the world champions. Hello.
That's why they play defense. They bought into the system. They bought into Mike Malone. I don't know if the Lakers are bought into Darvingham and what Darvingham wants to do. And that's been the case with Frank Vogel and coaches before him.
Frank Vogel won a championship as the Lakers coach.
Yes, but after
What
that,
are
after
you
that,
talking about? The team wasn't as good. The team wasn't as good after that.
Who was the GM?
Rob Pelinka.
Sure about that? Sure wasn't clutch?
Who cares, man?
That's a real
Oh,
subject.
That's not a subject that we're talking about. I'm
But
talking
that's
about
part of the
preserving-
equation.
How is it part of the equation?
Because
the
if
team
your
is
star
the team
player,
now.
if your star player isn't buying into the head coach, and whatever,
Who's not buying into the head coach? Explain.
Joe Arrigo.
LeBron is tired. It don't have nothing to do
he
with
played
buying
67 games.
He's 40.
So
Bro, you cannot run 15 minutes on a treadmill.
you don't.
Cannot do it. Why? Because you're old.
But I'm not getting paid $50 million.
So what? You're not even getting paid $5 million.
I'm not getting paid
You're
$5.
$15. You can't run on a treadmill for 15 minutes. You could when you was 20.
Easily.
Okay. The point is the man is old. You have to preserve him. AD, like I said, he's got injury history. You have to preserve them. This is the time of the year when attrition starts to kick in. Guys don't have the energy that they used to have. You gotta preserve them. You've been preserving them all year. You have to continue. Now, after last night's game, we're in the playoffs. Now you let your horses run. And you know what? It's not going to be the first time them horses have run in this pasture because of all of the switches and all of the messing with the lineups and subbing in and out that you and other people like you have had a problem with all season long. The man knows what he's doing. He knows his squad. He needs for guys to come in the playoffs knowing what they have to do to win.
The time for preservation is over. It was over against New Orleans.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm
Agreed.
talking about. So
No,
I
it's
don't-
not.
Yes, it is. I'm talking about the Denver series. I don't want to hear LeBron, he's tired. He can't D up on this person. I don't want to hear AD
No,
can't
dog,
do this.
that's dead.
I don't want to hear none of that.
That's not-
excuses.
that's not what you're gonna hear.
And that's what I'm gonna be. If I'm gonna be all transparent, not even for the camera, just real shit. I'm not used to that as a Laker fan. As a Laker fan, there was no fucking excuses with Kobe. There was no excuses with Magic. There was no excuses even with the Eddie Jones and Van Exel era. They laid it out on the line. I don't see that with them. And it's frustrating as hell.
Question. I have a question.
I have an answer.
What years were these you was talking about? You're talking about decades ago. A totally different game of NBA basketball than right now.
So the standards
You didn't
changed?
have to run as much. They was running in the triangle. It was a slow offense. They wasn't playing against Shea Gilgeous and damn all of these European dudes who have all of this weird type of basketball that's winning. None of that stuff was happening. You didn't have 7-foot centers shooting 3-pointers. Our centers, Kareem. Has Kareem ever touched the 3-point line?
No.
Never. Never. Has Shaq ever had to go out on defense to the 3-point line?
Yeah, he did.
Never.
Against Vlade. They had to run pick and Vlade.
Yeah, come on, man.
And
Get
he would just foul him and say, whatever.
You're comparing apples to oranges. You know you're comparing apples to oranges, and you're out of your mind.
No, what I'm doing is
Bottom
I'm having
line
a
is,
standard with the Lakers, and
your
I'm tired
standard
of the
is-
excuses.
Your standard is over.
I'm tired of the excuses.
There is no excuse. Nobody's making an excuse.
So-
the
so-
point is there's a way to win and there's a way to lose.
So here's the thing. LeBron's talked about retirement this year. For the first time, he'll say,
He's 50.
Okay, 73 to 40 to 50, make up a fucking age.
Who cares? He should be talking.
Okay, if he is,
retirement.
Hear me out now. Hear me out. He's talking about retirement. Then you know what? If this is going to be your last run, empty it all out for this run. And it starts against Denver on the weekend.
You telling Chef Boyardee to go make spaghetti. Please, just stop it.
No,
you
I'm
don't
telling-
have to tell LeBron
I'm telling
that.
the gourmet chef, don't make
point
ragu.
Is,
To make some
be in the
some
position at the
good
time
gravy.
when the playoffs start where you have your energy. Period, point blank.
Have your energy, LeBron.
AD, have your energy, as you will see against Denver. That don't mean they're going to win the series because Denver is a better team. Period, point blank. They weren't able this year because of injuries to get the run in that they needed to get in to beat Denver handily. And I don't know if it's going to happen. But
Was that because they were resting players?
they get a punch and chin. No, there was players in the hospital and on crutches and in wheelchairs.
I'm just saying because it's like if they're not playing and they're experimenting with lineups, then that goes with the rest and then unleash the tank. But now they didn't have enough. Like, I don't know which way you're going.
You coached for a little while and then you got fired.
I didn't get fired.
Well, whatever it was, you ain't coaching now. And it
chose
makes
not to
sense
coach.
why you're not coaching now. Because what you're talking about doesn't make any sense at all. Kudos to Darvin Ham. Kudos to Bruce Cassidy. I see what both of you are doing. I see why you had to do it, and you got your team's prime for a championship run.
Joe, I think you come from a perspective of where like you're looking at the overall picture, whereas TQ is actually looking at the now. And you're like, you have this thing against LeBron and AD.
Absolutely.
You do.
No,
that
no.
has been happening since the All-Star break
Facts.
at least.
No, I'm just holding them. Look, I think Laker fans would agree with this. I'm holding them to a standard that I'm accustomed to with Laker players, period. And no, you say you go.
But wait, you're holding them to a standard of when? What? Kobe
in
Bryant
general,
era?
The 1800s?
No, I'm holding to a standard of the Lakers are a team where it has always been up until I can't say that when little brother Bus was running everything, but it was championship or bust. Anything less than that is unacceptable.
Has that changed?
It has.
It has not.
I believe it has. I think merchandise sales and sales have become more important than ever. And I believe that I think for the most part, certain people in the organization, I'm not talking about players, are okay with as long as we're making money from the jersey sales, I'm good. We're good. I believe that.
I need your dispensary as soon as possible.
If I smoke, I would give it
yours
to you.
is the best one in the state of Nevada. Some of the stuff that you say, you have to be high, brother. The Lakers care about. Did you just say jersey sales?
100%.
Man, listen.
All right, we got
You know what? I'll
to
tell
move
you
it
what.
along.
Please
before we
move it
close,
along.
Joe,
before we
your
leave, so one
last
thing.
thought.
going off
Because
the
you've been
rails.
chopping it
I'm gonna
up for the
invite
past
you
20 minutes.
On Friday, I'm gonna have Nick Hamilton. I'll have Nick Hamilton on. Listen. I'll
That's
have
a Clipper.
listen. Nick's not a Clipper. I'll have him on
Man's a Clipper.
the locker room. I want you to come on, and he'll tell you. He covers the Lakers. He'll tell you what it is.
Another one of your Laker hating homeboys. Come on, man.
I'm really starting to believe that you're no longer a Lakers fan.
I'm a diehard Lakers
I
fan.
can tell you what he is. I'm going to use a word that maybe you haven't heard before. Curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon. Definition, please.
The old man who wants the young kids to get off of his lawn.
No.
When they're walking home.
Not at all.
That's what he is.
Furthest thing from that.
He wants to summon Kobe and Shaq and Kareem and Magic. Basketball has changed, okay? It's different. It's not the same anymore. This comparison, let it go, man. It was fun while it lasted. I give it to you. I loved basketball back then. Basketball back then is gone now. Our star, one of the GOATs that ever put on a pair of shoes, is 40 years old, man. 40. You cannot expect him to be as he was when he was 20 or when he was 30 or even as he was when he was 35. Because as you get older, the clock starts to go faster. The fact that the man is in the shape that he's in right now, ready to play in the playoffs, it's damn near a miracle.
I wouldn't even focus it on LeBron. Obviously, he is the glue to the team. I've said this many of times before, but the margin of error is so small for the Lakers. It's can the guys off the bench perform? Can the Lakers stay healthy? Yeah. That's how we'll see a real run. In the meantime, guys, it's time for the meme machine because we tired of hearing y'all battle against the Lakers. We just gonna have to see how this playoff run.
We've been battling with the Lakers all this time. This guy's supposed to be a Laker
it is
fan.
actually crazy, but we just gonna have to just be patient and wait it out. You know, as the playoffs continue. It is time for the meme machine. If you are new to our show, the meme machine is where we take a popular meme that's taking place in our world, our culture, our society, and the guys are gonna break it down for you. Stay tuned. All right, guys, it's time for the meme machine. And who would we be to not even talk about the J. Cole drama taking place? J. Cole dissing Kendrick Lamar on 7-Minute Drill. Obviously, we've known this drama has been taking place for a while. I'm going to let TQ go with this one because Joe, he doesn't know how to describe things in summarization form.
This one is not something that's short though.
But TQ, hearing J. Cole's apology, what are your thoughts? And before you actually state your thoughts to our viewer, I want you to kind of explain the overview of what's going on with Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole.
Well, there's been this whole thought process, I guess, for a significant portion of hip hop fans that there's a rap big three. Now, I don't subscribe to this whatsoever, but
the big me is just big three.
They feel like the rap big three is J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar, not necessarily in that order. There have been subtle shots taken, and now guys are feeling some kind of way about it, so they're speaking on it. Look, to me, it's much ado about nothing. It's rap beef. Rap started with beef. It's what it's been about from the beginning. I think that the beef cooled down a little bit when it just went too far, with Biggie and Tupac. We've had a couple of run-ins since then. But now here we are. It seems like we having a rap Royal Rumble right now.
It's a good example.
Where everybody's just kind of like, taking shots at each other. We from back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And like back in the day, we chose violence. It's just kind of what our generation was. So we love to see conflict. We love to see beef. We don't mind this at all.
At all.
But when it comes down to the apology, that side of me is like, that's the wackest shit I've ever seen before in my life, right? But I'm not the guy from the 90s no more. this is a time in society where it's really about mental health. For society, for me, myself, it's about knowledge of self, mindfulness, and balance, right? For me, my peace is more important than anything. J. Cole, during his apology, mentioned sleeping at night, and that resonated with me. Don't do the things that make it hard for you to sleep. Doesn't matter who says what. If that diss record felt bad in his spirit, then he did the right thing by coming out and apologizing. When I go back to my, hip hop fandom, that was whack. Just is what it is, and any hip hop head is gonna feel that way. Also, you can say, a lot of people are saying that was an easy way out to not have to deal with the hell that is having beef with one Kendrick Lamar. I mean, we just heard something
I was get to
popped off for you. Can't tell me what to say or what not to say. I don't care what you getting at.
Yeah.
We just heard something from Kendrick Lamar that we haven't necessarily confirmed as being real yet. That
but if it
shows
is,
you what type of time we on right now. Yeah, but if it is, I mean, it's as expected. I think that there's let me speak from the Drake side. Let me dig off into the Rick Ross part, because Ross has kind of jumped into the fight also on a totally different reasoning from what he says.
Joe's ready to blast off.
But it's like, this whole like piling up on Drake. Now, I'll be the first to say I'm not necessarily looking at Drake as like one of the I don't put him in the top 5 of rappers of all time, right?
Agreed.
But when it comes down to being an
he
artist,
would be considered elite.
being a musician and being an artist, I definitely put him in the top as a top 10 artist of all time, because of the same reason I put LeBron in the space that he's in. Drake's had a long time at the top. Drake has consistently dropped some good songs for a long time. And I feel like the piling up on him, and I know some of it is kind of based on, him taking his quiet, subtle shots or whatever. But this whole notion that just because he's a Mickey Mouse Club guy or whatever you want to call him, that, he ain't got no power out there. I'm going to caution these guys, because just like you ain't coming to Compton or L.A. dissing Kendrick Lamar, you ain't going to Miami talking crazy to Rick Ross. I mean, Drake from Toronto, but he got some Houston love, got some New Orleans love, he got some, he got some arms out there. So I would just caution people with the whole off the record the opinions that they may have of Drake himself. Himself is not his hitters. Let me just say that.
I think that there's people in the industry now that look at Drake and are tired of his passive aggressive, his trying to take everybody's girl, his subliminal shots, and is getting away with it. And I think Kendrick had enough. And if what we heard tonight was actually true, Drake's career, it's over.
It's not over.
It is taking a huge hit.
It has not.
If what he said is true, and if let's say the whole thing that the USB drive is true, that's in the song, man, look. And I'll say this about J. Cole. As someone that battles depression, and I don't give a damn. I'll openly talk. I've been going through it the last week and a half. I've been dealing with it, thugging it out. I respect what J. Cole did. I do, because you talk about peace, you got to protect your peace.
Facts.
And I think he also knew to an extent. Yeah, he went into demon time. I ain't rocking with him.
I want to go.
I ain't messing with Kendrick.
I ain't trying to go out there with dude.
I'm good. Hey, K-Dot, I'm going to holler at you. We good.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Kenny.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Now, again, the hip-hop fan of me, you said it best. The era we grew up in, you don't do that. You don't apologize. So does that mean like when Dre says if he told somebody shut the hell up or whatever, hey, nah, I'm at you, and then come back, hey, I'm sorry, I couldn't sleep for 72 hours. I mean, look, I think that took a hit. His whole persona took a hit. I think people that aren't necessarily hardcore J. Cole fans are looking at him a little bit different now. Like, damn, man, like you ain't in it for the competition.
Us old people are looking at him like that.
No, I think young people too. I've been watching a lot of different podcasts. I'm not just Joe Budden, but I caught some stuff academics did.
Academics old as hell, bro.
No,
you know, young person.
No, I'm not
talking about.
No. Listen, no, I'm saying what academics said. He's Team Drake 100%. I'm just observing, right? But there are other people that brought up issues like, hey, you know what? Like this could take a hit. He could take a hit in terms of the way certain hip hop heads look at him, young or old, because no matter what, it's still competition. That's what it is. When we talked about a pre-show, I have brought up like, okay, well, Pac and Biggie and LL Cool J and Kumo D and then he brought up, now what about Queens versus Bronx? You know, the bridge is over. Like those outstanding points.
Yeah.
That's what the culture is built off of. And then when Rick Ross gets in, Rick is basically accusing Drake of being a snitch. For lack of better terms, like, hey, look, man, you send a cease and desist, you send police here, you won't go here, you won't do. And this is some.
We don't know what the cease and desist was about, man.
Well,
he just said some words. He said some words.
No, they leaked out. They leaked audio of the song and that with his verse on it. And then when it came out, Wayne was on it and not Drake.
Okay.
So I mean, stuff like that.
It's business. It's business. At the end of the day, there is an underlying tone here that I believe. Hip hop has not been doing a great job in the sales department. Now you got everybody talking about it, from some of the biggest names in it. Everybody's jumping in it. And at the end of the day, if it stays on wax or on record,
I pray that it does, because it doesn't look like it's going to.
and you know, they really get a little extra hefty with how they beef with each other. But if it stays on record, then it's good for hip hop. If it doesn't, then we're gonna be seeing the same level of stuff that we saw back in the 90s. But I got to go back to this whole to this big three thing. Please
Stop.
If you're not gonna add Black Thought, Nas, Jay-Z, Eminem,
Common, Mos Def.
a couple of more I can throw in there, stop with the big three thing, man, because y'all are not just, you three are not just better than them people. You're just not. Like, I put Kendrick up there. I put J. Cole kind of a tier 2. Again, Drake is his overall artistry.
Let me ask you this. Lyrically,
Yeah.
those big three,
Yeah.
can any of them, I'm not talking about album sales,
Yeah.
just lyrically, rock with Razzcast?
Think Kendrick can.
The only one out of those three.
Maybe Cole too. That'd be a hell of a group right there.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be,
Yeah. I mean, look, Raz is one of the best from the West Coast. I think that these three have been able to be great MCs and sell a lot of records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have guys that have done great work as MCs, and a lot of it has been on other people's records.
Yeah.
Whereas they become a feature artist, where you know when that guy is on your record, he's gonna kill it, right? I think that record sales has to play a part in this. So it's some guys that we know shit corrupt.
yeah. Hell yeah.
It's still, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know, when it comes down to it, it's all encompassing.
So when Rick went on and said something like, you got a 360 deal, you have a 360 deal with Cash Money and Rap A Lot or whatever it was. He said he's paying them both. Drake paying them both.
Yeah.
For those that don't know and aren't familiar, what is a 360 deal mean, and why is that a bad look for Drake amongst people like Rick Ross and other artists that are in battle with
It's
this?
a bad look for most artists. But when you sell the amount of records that Drake makes and you've sold them for that amount of time, it's not a bad look at all. You can pay them crumbs to whoever you need to pay them to. The point is, Drake has the freedom to do what he wants to do with his music at this point, and most artists don't. He's got that freedom from having the leverage of consistently dropping hit records over and over again. I'm not talking about hood hits. I'm talking about a sold-out soccer stadium with a bunch of girls in it. That's what I mean. Taylor Swift type stuff. And the rest of them ain't doing that. So whatever your 360 deal is, whatever your deal situation was at the time when you signed it, at the time when he was in these situations, they was bad situations. You know what made him good? His ability to be consistently great over and over again, smacking the summer. And that's why he's in the position he's in.
I think part of the frustration from other artists is the fact that, like, how he not only views himself as being untouchable, he can touch whatever you have and it's okay. Like, how many times was when in Nicki Minaj was with Safari and then with Meek and whoever, he walked up behind her, was dancing on her and grabbing her booty and things like that. Now, on stage, you know as well as anybody, you're not going to say anything on stage.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, you're going to be like, what the fuck you doing? And how many, like, he does that a lot.
Well, they should have socked him then.
They
Should
should.
nobody sock him. So shut up. If you don't sock him, then be quiet.
But see, now, I think they're fed up. I think that's what it is.
Well.
Okay, man, you done did it enough. Like, look, this Rick Ross is getting on 50 Cent trolling with him. Like, honestly, it's getting to that 50 Cent level with trolling.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it. Like,
I mean, it's
Rose,
funny.
keep doing it.
It's funny, man.
You know what I'm saying? It is.
What do you know that's not going to stop? It's not going to stop Drake's ability to make a hit record.
Well, he's trolling too. He sent out a gang of drummers to Magic City because Metro Boomin's there. And
Come
look,
on, man.
The best line in Drake's thing was, "Hey Metro, bitch, keep playing some drums," or something like that. Like, it's like,
Go make some drums.
Go make some drums. Like, okay, like, that was funny.
I mean, look, man, on the record, Drake ain't no punk.
But here's
Drake can hold his own, bro. People can talk about him not being a tough guy. The majority of the people that talk about him not being a tough guy ain't tough guys themselves.
True.
So the bottom line is, the truth about Drizzy is that, and again, if I'm taking a side here, it's K-Dot. I'm Compton. K-Dot is, come on, man. The bottom line is, y'all ain't as consistent as Drizzy. Drizzy makes hits, and all the girls sing the songs that Drizzy makes over and over again. Am I right?
Yeah.
Here's my last thought on this is, I feel like he's a habitual line stepper. You know, taking the words out of late great Charlie Murphy's mouth, because not only has he done those things, but you look at when he went against him and Pusha T got into it, right? Mm-hmm. And Pusha T, like he said, he literally on the song before Pusha T came out with Adnan, he called Pusha T's fiance out by name, Victoria. Like, I think that's a line you cross, and that's when Pusha T's enough is enough, and he dropped having a kid, who the baby mom was, all this stuff. Right, but here's where I lost respect for Drake. A lot of respect for him. When he went in to LeBron's show and said, he had talked about my homie. We was in the hospital and we was really worried. And I'm feeling, you talking about my homie, like that really hurt my feelings. Like I thought it was just too personal. You talked about a dude's fiance.
You don't like it. You know who did like it? All them girls.
No.
He sells all those records too.
No, okay.
That's the point.
And then now he did the same thing with K-Dot talking about his wife. Now look, there's certain...
It's war, man.
Yeah.
It's war.
So
what did Pac say to Biggie about his wife? What are you talking about? It's war. It's always been war. And for some reason...
But don't catch feelings when they come at you. Like, I don't want to respond. Because he never responded to Pusha T. And that was a problem for me.
Why? What is...
He got in his feelings. He felt like, I can't do it.
Can I ask you a business question?
Absolutely.
If you're Drake, why are you beefing with Pusha T? All you're going to do is boost Pusha T's profile. You're just bringing Pusha T up.
So you're saying don't punch down.
Drake. It doesn't make sense to keep that going. So all you're doing is making him relevant.
So is him and Kendrick punching down for Drake?
Absolutely not. You got to say something to Kendrick because Kendrick is trying to murder you.
Yeah.
Period. You got to say something back. And you know what? Drake has the ability to say something back. Does he have an ability to go a whole 12 rounds? Absolutely not. You'll get something good from Drake after this.
TQ, I have a question for you. Obviously, talking about all this drama in the men's dynamic of the rap game.
Yes.
I want to kind of take it a step back because obviously the ladies have been making a lot more noise than the men this year and within the past year. How do you think as an artist, the dynamic of woman artists, the woman rap game is so much more different than the men's?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, look, the music industry is it's a copycat world, right? It just is what it is. For the most part, over time, female success in the rap game has been sporadic, right? But again, it's a copycat thing. So when you get the Nicki Minaj's, when you get the Cardi B, everybody wants one. Every label wants one. So there are now all of a sudden more opportunities because of that success, right? It's Caitlin Clark, right? This was the biggest year we've ever seen, the last 2 years, biggest years we've ever seen in women's college basketball. It's because of that success, right? Now you're getting bigger TV deals. You got more WNBA games coming on because of that success. Those ones that came in the beginning, the sustained success when it wasn't just one here. Back when we was coming up, one here, she does her run, here comes another one.
She's all right, but she's not real.
I mean, but I also think is when they start to, what I also think is that when they start to die out, it'll die out again. I think that a lot of the signings for the females were kind of fad signings. You know what I mean? If somebody was to tell me, 5 years from now that, a lot of these girls who have come out with these great songs over the last couple of years, the deal was so terrible, we don't know what happened to them. Like, I can see that happening because I understand how record companies work. I understand everybody wants their version of what the last successful thing was.
Yep.
I hate that about it because, look, it's some female MCs that have been out there from the beginning and still out there now that can really handle their own. I think that is just like with anything else with women. There's always just the pressure on you guys' necks, to be able to perform and be able to thrive in a male-dominated business. So the time that they've had, I would love for it to continue. I don't necessarily think it will, but if it does, hey, I'm all for it as long as the talent is there. And to me, for the most part, the talent has been there.
Let's not act like they haven't been beefing though. Cardi B and Sweetie.
Yeah, for sure.
You got Meg. I think Meg and Cardi are beefing now. Like, I mean, you got the top artists beefing. Lotto beefing with whoever. I mean, and Lotto's talented. Like, Lotto can write.
Yeah,
like,
he can.
And I'll listen to a Lotto song and be like, that's cool. Then I listen to Ice Spice, and all I see when I watch a performance is she's not even saying anything. She's just shaking her ass, and it's like you got to deal from just shaking your ass.
I mean,
the gorilla thing now, like the her whole thing that went viral now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's like at some point I think TikTok is gonna hurt artists because TikTok has shot some certain artists to so much success just off going viral off of whatever trend for that moment. But then there's no longevity. There's no long term. That's where, look, you can say what you want about Sweetie, right? She hasn't put out an album yet. She's put out little EPs because she's like, the time is right. I'm doing what I got to do. And I guess it's coming out. I credit her for that because she's really like serious about what she's doing. So I'm just trying to throw some shit out there just for some booty shake in the summer.
I mean, honestly, bro, it's a lot of it that I don't like. You know what I'm saying? I just don't necessarily like as a musician and as a rap fan. But I'm just all for women getting theirs. I just am.
Agree.
I just am. So whatever you got to do to get it, I do feel like some of y'all got to understand there's little girls watching you.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's going to come back and bite you in the ass if you don't fucking clean it up quick. But at the same time,
that's with majority of the woman rap game now.
Yeah, exactly. That part is bad. But once again, I know how the industry works, and a lot of them wouldn't have those deals if they wasn't doing what they're doing.
That's sad,
the whole
though.
point is the point now
you gotta
is
stoop low.
You do. You have to stoop low in the beginning if you want to get in. But if you believe in your talent, and if your talent is good enough, you can gain the leverage.
Yeah.
You can gain the leverage to change whatever narrative you want to change about yourself. it comes from making hit records consistently. That's just the bottom line. Cardi B can go from you know, being ratchet on a pole to being somebody's wife that everybody looks up to.
And she can,
it's because of leverage.
And I'll credit her too, because there are certain things she says that makes you go, huh? But then she really talks about some things you're like, okay, like that actually makes sense. And I credit her too because she does write her own stuff. She asks people help, but she really put time into what she does.
She holds the damn beat, man. The girl had rhythm from day one. Even when she wasn't writing her stuff, she could ride a beat. So I never had a problem with Cardi.
Even when her stylist had her looking like Jim Carrey from The Mask when we were walking into Chaos that night.
You call her that.
Alrighty, guys. Alrighty, guys. It's been real. It's been real. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we'll be back next week live at the Foundation Room. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit those notifications buttons because these guys are about to get it on and popping every single week.
Yep.
Live and direct from the new planet Earth, where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss.